Vous êtes sur Africa 24, bienvenue dans votre nouveau numéro de décryptage. Malgré un report probable, l'Afrique s'attend à un événement historique, celui du lancement de la zone de libre-échange continentale, la ZLECAf. Dans ce numéro de décryptage, nous sommes avec l'ambassadeur Albert Muchanga. Il est le commissaire chargé du commerce et de l'industrie au sein de l'Union africaine. Il va nous dire en détail à quoi s'attendre une fois que cette zone sera enfin opérationnelle en Afrique. Présentez-nous la commission du commerce et de l'industrie au sein de l'Union africaine.
The Department of Trade and Industry is one of the units of the African Union Commission. It has a mandate covering 4 areas. These are trade, industry, customs cooperation, and mining. Now, in all these areas, we see a level of interrelationship. For example, you cannot trade without producing. So it's attached to mining and industrialization. And you cannot trade without customs cooperation. So it's attached to that. So this is the work of the department to promote the growth of trade within Africa, trade between Africa and the rest of the world, and also use the productive base to transform Africa.
Parlez-nous un peu de l'historique accord sur la zone de libre-échange continentale.
It's a very good story. The African Continental Free Trade Area, which is ZLECAf in the French acronym, is one of the flagship projects of the African Union implementation, 10-year implementation plan, and the African Union Agenda 2063. Through the African Continental Free Trade Area, we are creating one market. We are bringing together all the 55 African Union member states to remove barriers that impede the trade among them. These have to do with the tariffs. They have to do with the lack of connectivity. And they have to do with the very weak productive bases anchored on the production of commodities. So when we create the African Continental Free Trade Area, we are going to promote trade liberalization, 90% trade liberalization. Initially, eventually it will go up to 100%. We are going to promote customs cooperation by promoting integration of the customs administrations among other activities of trade facilitation. We're going to promote the development of trade-related infrastructure. And we are also going to promote the growth of manufacturing across Africa. A good example, you come from Burkina Faso. It has very, very, very good textiles. And if we remove the barriers, there can be a huge export base to the rest of Africa. So we are creating an African Trade Observatory for, among others, to provide trade information, export opportunities, and import opportunities. So that is the essence of the African Continental Free Trade Area. It's going to be a large market of 1.27 billion people, bringing all the African economies together. Through the removal of barriers and physical barriers, tariff barriers, and non-tariff barriers, among others.
Par quel autre moyen l'Afrique va bénéficier de la ZLECAf?
It will be very useful for Africa in several ways. By creating one big market of 1.27 billion people, you make it more attractive. Because a lot of our economies are too small to attract large-scale investments. So when we aggregate, we can take advantage of those. By coming up with the liberalization measures, and these are domesticated into law at home, it means that you are creating certainty. So you are attracting large-scale investments and long-term investments. That's the first point. Second point, you give an opportunity to transform the productive base of Africa. When you remove tariff barriers, it means that really it's no longer economically meaningful to be exporting commodities. So you need to add value. So we have a program of promoting regional value chains, and those are going to spur manufacturing growth across Africa. And when we've created those industries, we're also creating opportunities for jobs among all Africans.
Pensez-vous que tous les pays africains accepteront de supprimer les charges douanières, par exemple?
They have already accepted. I indicated to you that we have agreed to remove 90% of tariff lines. It's only those which are of immediate concern to member states. For example, they are what are called the sensitive products, and they are what are called the exclusion list. So those are in the group of the 10%, which will take time to be removed, but eventually they're going to be removed. So member states have already agreed to remove those. Now what is the next stage is for them now to be making tariff offers, so that when those have been done, then each and every country can produce a schedule of tariff concessions to reflect the agreed levels of tariff, removal of tariff barriers. So yes, the member states have already agreed, because they see the benefits of creating an integrated African market.
Avec beaucoup de monnaies différentes, comment l'Afrique réussira-t-elle un marché commun?
What we are going to do is come up with a Pan-African digital payments and settlement system. We are being assisted in this direction by the African Export-Import Bank. When this, first of all, is going to be done on a pilot basis in the ECOWAS region, and eventually it will go through the rest of Africa. When this is done, it will be possible to have daily transactions in local currency in the activities of promoting intra-African trade. Then at an agreed period, there are going to be net settlements in foreign exchange. That's the first benefit. The second benefit is that it is also going to reduce transaction costs. The African Export-Import Bank has estimated that we'll be saving annually about $5 billion in transaction costs. And as the system develops, it will lay the basis for the development of a common African currency when we are able to reach the stages of monetary union. But that is yet to come into the future. Now we have got the free trade area. The next stage to go is the customs union. And they will maintain the stages of deeper integration until at a level where we can now say, let's go to monetary union, but that's going to take some time. But as we wait for that to come, we are going to promote the growth of the intra-African trade by assuring exporters and importers that they will be paid on time and in full through the Pan-African digital payments and settlement system.